The Fence That Me and Shorty Built by Red Stiegel. We picked up all the fencing tools and staples off the road. An extra roll of barbed wire was the last thing left to load. I called myself a cowboy and was full of buck and ball. I didn't think my hands would fit post augers and a maul. They sent me out with Shorty and the ranch fence building crew. Well, I was quite insulted. But before the day was through, I let him know that I'm a cowboy. This ain't what I do. I ain't no dadgum nester. I hired out to buckaroo. He said, we'll talk about that, son, when we get in tonight. Right now, you pick them augers up. It's either that or fight. Boy, I was digging post holes faster than the Georgia mole. But if a rock got in my way, I simply moved the hole. So when the cowboys set the posts, the line went in and out. Old Shorty's face got fiery red, and I could hear him shout, nobody but a fool would build a fence that isn't straight. I got no use for someone who ain't pulling his weight. But Shorty walked up to me, just as calm as he could be, said, son, I need to talk to you. Let's find ourselves a tree. Son, I ain't much on schooling, didn't get too far with that, but there's a lot of learning hidden underneath this hat. I got it all the hard way, every bump and bruise and fall. Now, some of it was easy, but then most weren't fun at all. But one thing I always got from every job I've done is do the best I can each day and try to make it fun. I know that busting through them rocks ain't what you like to do. By getting mad, you've made it tough on me and all the crew. Now you hired on to cowboy, and you think you've got the stuff. You told him you're a good hand, and the boss has called your bluff. So how's it going to make you look when he comes riding through and he asks me, who dug those holes? And I say, it was you. Now we could let it go like this and take the easy route, but doing things the easy way ain't what it's all about. If you're not proud of what you do, you won't amount to much. You'll bounce around from job to job, just slightly out of touch. Come morning, let's redig those holes and get that fence in line, and you and I will save 2 jobs, those being yours and mine. And someday you'll come riding through and look across this land and see a fence that's laid out straight. And know you had a hand in something that's withstood the years. Then proud and free from guilt, you'll smile and say, boys, that's the fence that me and Shorty built. I heard that poem, and I heard that poem and I thought, boy, that's really simple, just building a fence, just building an ordinary fence. But I thought there was so much wisdom in that I kind of, after I got a copy of it, just kind of studied it over, and I said, what can I learn from this? What can I learn for myself from this poem? And I'm going to tell you, there's a lot of learning in that poem, and I'm just going to share a couple of the things that came to me. Now, you'll probably get other things out of it, and that's okay, because we kind of each need something different and we grow in a different way. The fence that me and Shorty built, first of all, do whatever you're asked to do. There's no job that's too menial for you or I. There's none of us that are too good to do the small things or the big things. And the greatest example we have of doing whatever asked to do, or whatever needs to be done is even a better way to put it. The greatest example we have is Sam Walton. And some of you saw Sam when we were having a grand opening go and open up the lines and help bag merchandise. Or when the lines are long, go along and pass out candy to the kids. Or on a hot summer day, and they just got a truck to unload, and he goes out and helps the folks unload the truck and the merchandise from the hot truck. Or take off his coat and roll up his sleeves and set an end cap. Those of you that have been around a long time probably saw Sam do that. He was the greatest example of doing whatever you're asked to do or whatever you need to do to get the job done. The next point I had is do it right the first time. Do it right the first time. You know, it doesn't matter how hard you work if you're doing the wrong thing. He was digging post holes faster than a Georgia mole. But you know what? He had to go back and do it again. You see, shortcuts don't work. And in the long run, oftentimes, shortcuts take longer. Do it right the first time, then you don't need to go back and redo it. Learn from experience. There's always somebody around who you can learn from. And the people you learn from aren't always the regionals or always the district managers. They may be from your department managers. You might learn from your cashiers. You might learn from the people at the service desk. You might learn from people unloading trucks. That's what Sam did. There's always somebody around to learn from. And you know what? None of us are so smart that there isn't more to learn. We can always get better. And so we should concentrate on listening to what other people have to say. You don't learn if you don't look and listen. We all need to listen better than what we do. Do the best you can. In everything you do it to the very best of your ability. Whether it be large or small, whether it be something you like to do or don't like to do, that's what we call execution. Execution. Do it to the best of our ability. And I'm going to tell you, folks, in this first 6 months, we've had a lot of folks doing it to the best of their ability. Just think, if we could get everybody, not only every one of you, but every one of those people that you work with in your stores and in your supercenters, working to the best of their ability. Wow, the numbers that we put on the board so far this year would be pretty small compared to what would happen if we could just crank it up another notch. Have fun. You know what? Not everything is fun. There's a lot of things that you and I are called on to do every single day that aren't fun. There's a lot of things everybody up here has to do that aren't fun. I'll tell you what, you know, these regionals get in the planes on early Monday morning and fly out, stay out in the field till Thursday afternoon, get home late, they're away from home. I'm going to tell you what, that gets old fast. It's old fast eating out of restaurants and sleeping in motels. That's not fun. But I tell you what old Shorty said is, no matter what it is, try to make it fun. Have fun in your job. You know, getting dressed up in sleepers, getting dressed up as Santa Claus, doing crazy things, retailtainment in the stores. Make things fun for yourself and the people around you. Remember, your attitude affects everyone. Your attitude affects people around you. I don't know, time is going kind of fast, but I want to share a story with you. Over at the Sam's meeting, they had Pat Riley, former coach of the LA Lakers and currently New York Knicks and currently the coach of Miami Heat. He told a story about he had a team of real real professional basketball players there that he was really proud of. But they had never won the championship, that particular group. And out of college that year, they recruited a guy, or they drafted a guy by the name of Irvin Johnson. And they were not picked to win the NBA title. And he went on to talk about this young kid, 19 years old, comes out with these seasoned veterans, and he was an inspiration to the people there. He had a fantastic attitude. No matter what happened, he had a great attitude. They went through the year, they won over 60 games. Best season they had had. They got into the playoffs, won the first series of games, the first round. They won the second round. They ultimately got into the finals, and they were playing against the Philadelphia 76ers. And they won the fifth game of the finals, and they were ahead 3-2. 3 games to 2, one more win, and they had the NBA championship. And in that fifth game, Abdul-Jabbar twisted his ankle. And fortunately, it wasn't a real bad sprain, but he wasn't going to be able to play in the next game. Now, the LA Lakers are going to Philadelphia against Dr. J, and they're going to play in Dr. J's home court. And all the papers are saying, no chance for LA to win. The players on the team came up to Pat Riley and said, hey, you know what? With Jabbar not playing this game, why don't a couple of us sit out? Why don't we rest up a little bit? So when we come back to LA and Jabbar is back in there, then we can win that game. But why don't we just kind of coast right now? Pat Riley was really upset about it. Irvin Johnson was really upset. And this all came out in a team meeting just before they were ready to board the plane and get to fly to Philadelphia. Johnson stands up. Says, what are you guys talking about? We can win the game. We can win it without Jabbar. Matter of fact, if you feel so strong that we got to have Jabbar playing, I'll be Jabbar. I'm going to play Jabbar. Okay? We're going to go out there, we're going to win the game. Pat Riley says, 19-year-old kid is talking to these seasoned veterans. They hop on the plane. Irvin Johnson sits in seat 1A. Nobody sits in seat 1A. That's where Jabbar sits. This brash 19-year-old kid sits in seat 1A. And so they fly to Philadelphia. They get there and they have a practice session before the game that evening. And Johnson says, okay, I'll play center. I'm going to play center. Pat Riley puts him at center. He jumps center court as the game begins, and he loses the tap. Dawkins beats him. That's the only thing he lost all night. Because you see, the 19-year-old kid with the great attitude scored 42 points, had 13 rebounds, had 13 assists, 7 steals, and 4 block shots. And the LA Lakers won the championship. Attitude. Can't win the game because Jabbar's not there. Attitude is so important. Let me give you a little different dimension on attitude. It's a letter that was sent to Dennis Anderson, and it said, this is from someone who had attended a leadership class, a training class, and said, I've worked for Walmart for 4.5 years. I don't know. Listen carefully, because some of you may have come to the meeting with the feeling described in this letter. I love Walmart, and I've always been a part of a Walmart family. But lately, I've reached the point of desperation. I was to the point of packing up all my belongings and quitting. I couldn't take the pressure any longer, and I had no desire to do what I've been doing. It was affecting every aspect of my life and basically consumed me. While I sat in the class this week, a lot of things came into perspective for me. And I realized that I had to change. I realized that I had to change. because the job wasn't going to change. But then the more I sat in class, I realized that the more I changed, the more I could change everyone around me. I've decided to come back to work with a passion and a different attitude, a positive outlook. Life is just too short to waste. The class might have saved me from a nervous breakdown, wasting my life in misery, and losing a great career. Attitude is so important. My attitude affects everyone around me. Your attitude affects everyone in your store. Don't think they don't see it. If any of you come here tonight with the attitude expressed by this young lady who's an assistant manager at Walmart, I hope this meeting can change your attitude. Next point I've got is take pride in what you do. Take pride in what you do. Remember this, your name is on every fence that you build. Your name is on every fence that you build. What's your level of self-esteem tonight? Next point I've got is go back and redo your mistakes. You know, we all make mistakes. We all do things wrong. Every single one of us. The most important thing you can do is admit it when you've done something wrong, when you've made a mistake, and go back and correct it. Don't leave it there for other people to see. Correct the mistake that you might have made. Last point is build to last. Build to last. Build something that will last for a long time. Build a fence with your name on it that has staying power. That's what's called success. Success is the reward for a job well done. Stop a minute, think back, and think about, in just a minute, think about the most successful thing you've done in your life. The thing that is the crowning glory of your career or your life in general. What's the most important thing you've done? How does it make you feel? Makes you feel good. When you're successful, you feel good. You build something to last. You can be proud of it. And I'm going to tell you what, folks, these are not rocket science. Have you ever heard these points before? They're pretty simple. They're things that all of us can do. Now, please blend these with what you hear tomorrow evening from the presenters, from our store managers and district managers that are going to talk to you. Tie them together. I said at the last meeting that our competitors don't understand us. We have confounded our competitors with simplicity. We have confounded them with simplicity. They don't understand everyday low price. They don't understand customer satisfaction. They don't understand grassroots, open door. They don't understand any of that. We have confounded our competitors with simplicity, and we've captured our customers with satisfaction. And we need to keep doing it. But I'm going to tell you what, the lesson's not over, folks, because we've only looked at one dimension, and the dimension that we've looked at is the personal side, how we ought to be acting. But now we have roles, and the other side of it is, what did Shorty say? What did Shorty do? Now put on the hat of leader. Now you're the leader. Let's take a minute or two and see what Shorty did. Number one, he established accountability. He said, build the fence, dig the post holes. But what did he do? He came back and checked it. We have an obligation and responsibility when we delegate to come back and see, did they get the job done right? And in this particular case, Shorty comes back and says, the job's not done right. Accountability. Number two, mentor, don't just discipline. And I'm not saying there is no place for discipline. I'm not saying that, so don't go off on that limb. But what he did is he mentored him. He counseled him. He said, let's find ourselves a tree. Let's go and sit down and talk about this one. I could have just been angry. He could have said, get out there and fix that doggone fence. Probably would have said dadgummed, I don't know. Mentor, don't just discipline. Share from your own experience. Shorty shared from his own experience. He told him about himself. He told him about things that he had learned. He told him that it wasn't all easy. I had to learn through bumps and bruises and falls. Be personal when you're helping someone, when you're mentoring someone. Next point, I think is really important, and we often don't put ourselves like this, but it's understand the other person's point of view. What's their take on this thing? What does it look like to them? And he understood the point of view. He says, I know you don't like doing it. He said as much. Who does? Who likes digging through rocks? Understand the other person's point of view. Next point, I kind of got it broken down because what he did is he did a good job of explaining. First of all, he explained what the expectations were. The fence should be straight. That's what I expect of you. The next thing he explained is why it's important to have a straight fence. The next thing is he explained principles. I've found in my life, always do the best you can. Have fun with what you do. And the last thing is he explained the consequences. So he completely understood the picture. The next point is motivate. It is our responsibility as leaders to motivate our people. Get them excited. Let them see your vision. Let them see the direction. Let them feel your enthusiasm. Let them get into it. It's hard in a store to have the enthusiasm level that you all had here tonight. But let me ask you, when's the last time in your store people got excited? Now, I think you were excited tonight. What do you do to get your people excited and motivated? Next point is be a part of the solution. Be a part of the solution. He didn't tell Red to go out, just you go out and redig it. He said, let's go out and redig it in the morning. I'm going to work with you on this, son. We're going to go out and redig those post holes. And the last thing, instill pride. Instill pride. Nothing better than feeling good about what it is you've done. And he did a great job of explaining to him what it's like to come riding through and to look at the fence that he built and feel good about it. As we wrap this up, I'd like to do one last thing. And I'd like you to read this poem along with me. Don't read it out loud. I'll read it out loud. But they're going to put it on the screen for you, and let's kind of go through it and let's remember. But the important thing is not so much what I've said about it. What does it mean to you? What can you learn from this? These simple ideas from a simple cowboy poem. And my guarantee is that you'll be a better leader if you learn them. We'd picked up all the fencing tools and staples off the road. An extra roll of barbed wire was the last thing left to load. I called myself a cowboy. I was full of buck and ball. I didn't think my hands would fit post augers in a mall. They sent me out with Shorty and the ranch fence building crew. Well, I was quite insulted. And before the day was through, I let him know that I'm a cowboy. This ain't what I do. I ain't no dadgum nester. I hired out to buckaroo. He said, we'll talk about that, son, when we get in tonight. Right now, you pick them augers up. It's either that or fight. Boy, I was digging post holes faster than the Georgia mole. But if a rock got in my way, I simply moved the hole. So when the cowboys set the post, the line went in and out. Old Shorty's face got fiery red, and I can hear him shout, nobody but a fool would build a fence that isn't straight. I got no use for someone who ain't pulling his own weight. But Shorty walked up to me just as calm as he could be. He said, son, I need to talk to you. Let's find ourselves a tree. Son, I ain't much on schooling. Didn't get too far with that. But there's a lot of learning hidden underneath this hat. I got it all the hard way. Every bump and bruise and fall. Now, some of it was easy, but then most weren't fun at all. But one thing I've always got from every job I've done is do the best I can each day and try to make it fun. I know that busting through them rocks ain't what you like to do. By getting mad, you've made it tough on me and all the crew. Now you hired on the cowboy, and you think you've got the stuff. You told him you're a good hand, and the boss has called your bluff. So how's that going to make you look when he comes riding through and he asks me, who dug the holes? And I say, it was you. Now we could all let it go like this and take the easy route, but doing things the easy way ain't what it's all about. If you're not proud of what you do, you won't amount to much. You'll bounce around from job to job, just slightly out of touch. Come morning, let's re-dig those holes and get that fence in line, and you and I will save 2 jobs, those being yours and mine. And someday you'll come riding through and look across the land and see a fence that's laid out straight and know you had a hand in something that's withstood the years, and proud and free from guilt, you'll smile and say, boys, that's the fence that me and Shorty built. Remember, every fence you build will have your name on it. What does your fence look like? Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
I'll tell you, I think old Don Soderquist has built a lot of straight fences in his life, don't you? He really has.